We all know the Bible is filled with incredible stories, teachings, and narratives. However, today we're highlighting some of the most peculiar and unexpected demises that you might not have heard about. From supernatural interventions to bizarre twists of fate, these stories are bound to leave you intrigued and maybe a little bewildered. So buckle up for a ride through the unexpected pages of biblical history. 1. Sisera. Our story unfolds during the time of the judges in the land of Canaan, 150 years or so after Joshua died, a period marked by recurring cycles of disobedience, oppression, and deliverance. There had been several cycles of apostasy, where the Israelites forgot that God is the one who has been blessing them and started worshipping false gods. This led to God allowing the Israelites to be oppressed, then the Israelites crying out to God for forgiveness, and then God rescuing them. Wash, rinse, repeat. This became a recurring cycle of disobedience, oppression, and deliverance. During this time, Sisera was a powerful Canaanite commander in the army of King Jabin, and the Israelites, under the leadership of the judge Deborah and the warrior Barak, were engaged in a conflict with King Jabin's forces. The Israelites and the Canaanites clashed in a fierce battle, and the Israelites, led by Barak, gained the upper hand. Sisera, however, found himself in a dire situation as he fled the battlefield. With the Israelite forces hot on his heels, he sought refuge in the tent of a woman named Jael, the heroine of the story. Jael is recorded as being the wife of Heber the Kenite. The Kenites are the descendants of Moses' father-in-law's family, and according to Joshua 1:16, the Kenites settled in the Negev in Judah. So it would have been a safe assumption to make that the Kenites would be on the side of the Israelites. Yes, most of them were, but Heber the Kenite had moved away from his kin and made an alliance with Jabin and Sisera of Canaan, as depicted in Judges chapter 4, verses 11 and 17. As Sisera was fleeing the battle on foot, Jael, the Kenite woman, welcomed Sisera into her tent. She offered him milk to drink and a place to rest. Sisera, tired and thirsty from the battle, accepted her hospitality as they had an alliance. Little did he know that he had entered a trap set by Jael. Jael waited until Sisera had fallen asleep from exhaustion. At that moment, she took a tent peg and a mallet, and with a bold and daring move, drove the peg through Sisera's temple, fastening his head to the ground. Sisera met his end in a surprising and gruesome manner, fulfilling the prophecy given by the judge Deborah that the Lord will deliver Sisera into the hand of a woman. Jael's actions played a pivotal role in the Israelites' victory over the Canaanites. This is the story of how Sisera, the formidable Canaanite commander, met his fate in the hands of Jael, a courageous and resourceful woman. 2. Egon the Fat King. Because of the moral decline among the Israelites, God raised a malevolent ruler by the name of Eglon to reign over them. This corpulent Moabite king subjected the people to a harsh and oppressive rule for a staggering 18-year duration, causing them to cry out to the Lord for deliverance. In response to their plea, the Lord selected Ehud, a member of the tribe of Benjamin, as a judge, even though the specific title, judge, is not attributed to him. Ehud possessed a special quality for this mission. He was left-handed, and he made a double-edged sword about 18 inches long and concealed it on his right thigh, under his clothing. The Israelites assigned Ehud the task of delivering their tribute to King Eglon, who was residing in an upper chamber of his palace, adorned with lattice screens to keep it cool. In the scriptural account, Eglon is described as a very fat man, a depiction rarely found in the Bible. This detail stands out as malnutrition was prevalent during those days, implying that Eglon's corpulence could signify indulgent gluttony, while his subjects endured deprivation. After presenting the tribute, Ehud dismissed the attendants who had accompanied him. However, As he journeyed past pagan idols near Gilgal, he retraced his steps and approached the king, announcing, "Your Majesty, I have a confidential message for you." Responding to Ehud's plea, Eglon dismissed his servants and guards so he could hear the secret message in privacy. As the king rose from his seat, Ehud drew his concealed dagger and thrust it into Eglon's abdomen. The king's excessive flesh covered the handle of the sword, and he met his demise as his bowels were emptied. Ehud swiftly locked the chamber door and made his escape through the lace screens. Eglon's servants and guards, presuming their ruler was tending to personal matters in seclusion, remained oblivious, providing Ehud with the opportunity to elude them. Upon reaching the hill country of Ephraim, Ehud sounded a trumpet, summoning the Israelites to his side. He led them to the fords of the Jordan River, which they seized to prevent Moabite reinforcements. In the ensuing battles, the Israelites slew approximately 10,000 Moabites, permitting none to escape. Following this victory, Moab fell under the dominion of Israel, ushering in a period of peace that endured for 80 years in the land of Israel. 3. Abimelech. Our story takes place in the book of Judges, in a time when the Israelites were not ruled by kings, but by judges. Abimelech, the central character, was a son of the famous judge Gideon. He ruled over the city of Shechem. Abimelech's ambition was boundless. He sought to become the sole ruler and was willing to eliminate potential rivals to achieve his goal. This led to a treacherous act where he had his own brothers murdered, 70 of them. Abimelech's rule didn't sit well with everyone. Jotham, one of Gideon's surviving sons, used a parable to criticize Abimelech's actions. In this parable, he compared Abimelech and the leaders of Shechem to destructive trees that ultimately met their own destruction. Over time, the people of Shechem rebelled against Abimelech's oppressive rule. A man named Gal ben Ebed challenged Abimelech's authority, leading to further unrest. It was during this turmoil that Abimelech's forces laid siege to the city of Thebez. But here's where the story takes an unexpected turn. While attempting to capture the city, a woman dropped a millstone from a tower which struck Abimelech on the head, causing a severe head injury. Realizing the gravity of his injury, Abimelech didn't want his death attributed to a woman. So, in a shocking twist of fate, he instructed his armor-bearer to end his life. His armor-bearer obeyed, and Abimelech died by the hand of his own servant. 4. Jehoram. Our story takes place in the Old Testament, where we encounter King Jehoram, who ruled over the kingdom of Judah. Jehoram's reign was marked by actions that displeased the Lord, setting the stage for a truly disturbing turn of events. King Jehoram's undoing began when he received a stern warning letter from the prophet Elijah. This letter, sent on behalf of the Lord, admonished Jehoram for his wickedness and urged him to turn from his sinful ways. Unfortunately, King Jehoram paid little heed to the warning letter. Despite the gravity of the message, he persisted in his evil ways, refusing to repent or amend his behavior. As a result of his continued disobedience, King Jehoram was afflicted with a harrowing ailment, a painful inflammation of the abdomen. This ailment is described as excruciating, causing immense suffering and distress to the king. Tragically, King Jehoram's condition worsened over the course of 2 agonizing years. Eventually, the ailment progressed to such an extent that his bowels came out, leading to his death. He passed away in extreme agony, serving as a grim testament to the consequences of his actions. The story of King Jehoram serves as a poignant reminder of the biblical concept of divine judgment. It highlights the gravity of our actions and the importance of heeding warnings, both earthly and divine. It's a stark illustration of the consequences that can befall those who persist in their wrongdoing. 5. Uzzah. The story of Uzzah takes place in the Old Testament, in a time when the Ark of the Covenant, a sacred symbol of God's presence, was kept in the house of Abinadab. Uzzah, who was a member of Abinadab's family, played a significant role in this narrative. The Ark of the Covenant was to be moved to Jerusalem by King David, a momentous occasion for the Israelites. King David, accompanied by a great assembly, set out to bring the Ark to its new resting place. As the Ark was being transported on an ox-drawn cart, an incident occurred. Uzzah, who was walking beside the cart, reached out to steady the Ark when the oxen stumbled. His intentions seemed noble, an attempt to protect the sacred Ark from falling. However, this well-intentioned act led to a tragic consequence. The moment Uzzah touched the Ark, God's anger was kindled against him. Uzzah was struck dead right there by the Lord. Uzzah's death, though seemingly harsh, emphasizes an important aspect of God's holiness. The Ark symbolized God's presence and was to be handled with utmost care and reverence. Uzzah's impulsive act, despite good intentions, violated this principle. 6. Ananias and Sapphira. This story takes us to the early days of the Christian church as recorded in the book of Acts. The followers of Jesus had come together, forming a tight-knit community in Jerusalem. In this vibrant community, it was common for people to sell their possessions and contribute the proceeds to support those in need. This act of generosity was a way to ensure that no one among them was in want. Among the believers was a couple named Ananias and Sapphira. They saw the generous acts of others and decided to sell a piece of land. However, they conspired to keep a portion of the money for themselves while presenting only a part of the proceeds to the apostles. Ananias presented the money, falsely claiming it was the full amount from the sale. At this moment, the apostle Peter, filled with divine knowledge, confronted Ananias, asking why he had lied to the Holy Spirit. As a result of his deceit, Ananias fell to the ground and breathed his last, struck down by God. This event sent shockwaves through the community as they witnessed the consequences of dishonesty in the presence of God. The story took another tragic turn as Ananias' wife, Safia, arrived unaware of her husband's fate. Peter questioned her about the sale of the land, and she too lied about the amount received. In a haunting parallel to her husband's fate, Safia also met her end. She fell at Peter's feet and breathed her last. The two were buried side by side, serving as a stark reminder of the consequences of deceit. The story of Ananias and Sapphira serves as a profound lesson about the importance of truth, honesty, and integrity within a community. It emphasizes the gravity of lying to God and the consequences that can result. 7. Lot's wife. This interesting story takes us back to the book of Genesis in the Old Testament. It revolves around Lot, the nephew of the patriarch Abraham. Lot and his family were living in the sinful city of Sodom, which was about to face the wrath of God. Before the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah, two angels sent by God arrived to rescue Lot and his family. They warned them of the impending calamity and instructed them to flee without looking back. As Lot, his wife, and their two daughters fled the city, God rained down sulfur and fire upon Sodom and Gomorrah, obliterating the wicked cities. But as they fled, something significant happened. In an act of disobedience, Lot's wife glanced back at the city. It's not entirely clear why she did so. Perhaps she was filled with nostalgia, doubt, or curiosity. But this single act of defiance had dire consequences. As Lot's wife looked back, she was instantly transformed into a pillar of salt, forever immobilized in that moment. The story of Lot's wife's transformation into a pillar of salt serves as a powerful lesson about the consequences of disobedience and the importance of following God's guidance. It reminds us that when God provides a way out of sin and destruction, we must trust and obey. 8. Herod. Herod Agrippa was a grandson of Herod the Great and was appointed as the king of Judea by the Roman Emperor Claudius. He was a ruler of great influence and authority in the region. Herod Agrippa is particularly known for his role in the early persecution of Christians. It is said that he arrested and executed the Apostle James, and when he saw this pleased the Jewish religious leaders, he proceeded to imprison the Apostle Peter. The most enigmatic part of Herod Agrippa's story is his sudden and mysterious death, which is recorded in the book of Acts, chapter 12. It was during a time of tension between Herod and the people of Tyre and Sidon. On a particular day, Herod Agrippa appeared in public, dressed in splendid royal attire. The people hailed him as a god, declaring his words to be the voice of a divine being, not that of a mortal man. Instead of rejecting this false praise, Herod Agrippa basked in it. Acts 12, verse 23 tells us that immediately, because Herod did not give praise to God, an angel of the Lord struck him down, and he was eaten by worms and died. The death of Herod Agrippa serves as a powerful reminder of the consequences of pride and arrogance. It emphasizes the importance of recognizing that ultimate praise and glory belong to God, not to humans. 9. Absalom. Absalom's story is marked by his rebellion against his father, King David. He aspired to seize the throne and garner the support of the people, leading to a tragic rift in the royal family. Absalom's rebellion escalated to a point where he gathered an army and openly confronted King David's forces. The climactic battle took place in the forest of Ephraim. During the battle, Absalom's mule ran beneath a large oak tree, and his long hair became entangled in its branches. This momentary vulnerability was exploited by David's commander Joab, who took advantage of the situation. Instead of taking Absalom captive, Joab chose to strike him down. In 2 Samuel 18:14, it is written, "Then Joab said, 'I'm not going to wait like this for you.' So he took 3 javelins in his hand and plunged them into Absalom's heart, while Absalom was still alive in the oak tree." 10. Eli. Eli's death is found in the Old Testament within the books of 1 Samuel. Eli was a significant figure in Israel's spiritual leadership during a tumultuous time. He served as the high priest at the sanctuary in Shiloh, and his responsibilities included overseeing religious rituals and tending to the Ark of the Covenant. Eli's story is closely intertwined with that of his sons, Hophni and Phinehas. Unfortunately, they were corrupt and disrespectful of their priestly duties, leading to problems and a lack of spiritual discipline among the people. God sent a man of God to deliver a warning to Eli about the behavior of his sons. He was told that because of their wickedness, his family's future as priests would be cut short. Tragically, a conflict with the Philistines emerged. The Israelites took the Ark of the Covenant into battle, believing it would secure their victory. However, the Philistines overcame them, captured the Ark, and killed Hophni and Phinehas in the process. The devastating news of the loss of the Ark and the death of his sons reached Eli, who was an elderly, blind, and overweight man. Upon hearing the news, he fell backward off his seat, broke his neck, and died. His death is recorded in 1 Samuel 4 verse 18. When he mentioned the Ark of God, Eli fell backward off his chair by the side of the gate. His neck was broken, and he died, for he was an old man and heavy. He had led Israel for 40 years.